Hi guys! So I just wanted to make a really quick review video for you guys that didn't get a chance to get on the Google Meet today, or maybe you did and once you left you still were like a little bit confused. I did see that quite a few of you did have some trouble on the math exit ticket today, so I did just want to go over how you should be figuring that out because I know that it was a little bit tricky today. So what you want to do is, these are the numbers that were on the very first problem in the Google exit ticket today. You need to take each of these numbers, and there was also one more that I didn't write, but it was already in a whole number and decimal form, which was 1 and 1100ths, or 1.11, however you want to say it, however it makes sense to you. So what you need to do is you need to look at this number, see how it's a whole number and then a decimal. You need to turn all of these into a whole number and a decimal, then compare them greatest to least. So 1, 1, 1/10, well, 1, 1 is your whole number, right? And 1/10 is how many tenths, so your number would be 1.1, or 1, 1 and 1/10, right? So that's 1 and 1/10. The next one, 13/10. Now, that's an improper fraction, and if you're like, Miss Stunning, I don't know what an improper fraction is. Remember before we left school in March, we were talking about improper fractions, and that's when your numerator, so your top number or your first number, is larger than your bottom number, your denominator. So here, 13/10 is an improper fraction. If we were going to write that as a mixed number, well, we know that 10/10 make a whole, right? So I would have one whole, and then I would have 3 left over, so 3/10. Now, if I was going to write this as a decimal, because I want all of these numbers as a decimal, it would be 1.3, right? Or 1 3/10. See, this is going to be a lot easier to compare when you have all of them in that decimal form with the whole number. 1, 1 and 20 hundredths, all you have to do, 1.20, right? 1 and 20 hundredths. The next one, 129 100ths. Again, this is an improper fraction. So if I was going to write this as a mixed number, it would be 1, because 100 hundredths is one whole. Then I would know I had 29 100ths left over. So if I was going to write that as a whole number with a decimal, all I would do is 1.29, right? The last one, 102 100ths. That's a mouthful, right? So again, this is an improper fraction. My numerator is larger than my denominator. That top number is bigger than the bottom number. So if I wrote that as a mixed number, it'd be 1, because I have 100 and 100 here. There'd be 2 left over, so 2 100ths. So again, that would equal 1. Now this is the tricky one, because it's 2 100ths. So do you have any tenths? No, you do not. So you should have a 0 in the tenths, then a 2. Now that we have all of these, I'm going to circle them, in our whole number with a decimal format, we can then compare them. So if you were doing this, hopefully, and if you have another problem like this, you should just get a piece of scrap paper and write these to the side. Don't try and just like mentally do it. Like, write it down and make sure you have it right. So if I'm gonna look at this, lucky for me this time, all of my whole numbers start with the same exact number 1, which means that I don't even have to worry about that ones place. Then I'm gonna go into my tenths. That's where I'm gonna start checking. The bigger the number in the tenths place, that's the greater it is. So 1.3 or 13/10 would be my first one. So I'm just going to kind of write down here, 13/10 is greater than, now you know Miss Dunning, she always likes to mark it off when she's done with it so I don't get confused. So 13/10, what's my next greatest? Oh, 1 and 29 hundredths, or 1.29. So that's 129 hundredths. Greater than, so I used that one. Then the next biggest one is 1, 1 and 20 hundredths. I'm just going to write 1 and 20 hundredths to save room because my board isn't as big, but you should have actually written that out, typed it out. The next biggest one is that there was that 1.11 that was already the decimal, and that's greater than my 1.1, and I ran out of room. But hopefully you guys get the gist of this now. It is a little bit tricky, but I think once you get the idea that you need to just write them as a whole number with the decimal, it makes it a lot easier. It's easy to compare once you have them all as the same way. Okay guys, hope that helps. If you still are feeling confused, see if you can pop on the Google Meet today or send me a pen pal and we'll figure something out, okay? Have a good day, guys.